The Defence Ministers of Australia, the United Kingdom and the United States have renewed their vows for the AUKUS pact with a bilateral treaty between us and England, further boosting our regional security. Now, Miles gave a pretty emphatic defence for the need for nuclear-powered submarines in our region. Have a look.
We have to have a top-of-the-line, first-rate, long-range submarine capability, and the only way we achieve that is through a nuclear-powered submarine capability. So to be able to have the same capability in the future that in Mr Keating's time he was planning for with the Collins-class submarines, we must walk down this path. It is not lost on us the significance of the step that we are taking, but this is utterly essential for Australia's future, and the strategic imperative of that remains unchanged irrespective of what Mr Keating says.
But no nuclear energy. Lincoln Parker, good to see you. How are you?
Well, thanks.
What did you think?
Well, look, unfortunately, I think it's more talk than any real substantive information or detail. So I read this and I'm really trying to find whether this is just more symbolic or is it more substantive. And I really couldn't find the details that was written. I mean, they're establishing a legal framework between the United Kingdom and Australia for cooperation under AUKUS, and they're doing some good things that will enable in the future for UK crews to be able to operate down under, which is good for collaboration and those sorts of things. But none of this is going to worry China, in my opinion, because it's all out into the 2030s and beyond, and especially for SSN AUKUS, which will be the design from the United Kingdom in conjunction with Australia, it's out even further. Yeah. So I just worry that, we're hearing Richard Marles, the Deputy Prime Minister, talk about Keating. Well, it was actually under the old Labor, under Bob Hawke, that actually commissioned the Collins-class submarines and got them into the water. Yeah. Under this new Labor, we're not seeing the rubber hit the road.
No, absolutely. A lot of talk, nowhere near as much action, absolutely. Plus, China at the moment, apparently, according to reports, would be distracted by one of their subs sinking, but you're not buying this.
No, well, this is really quite interesting, Erin, because we've heard reports in the media that you're referencing that a brand new Zhou-class nuclear-powered submarine in the People's Liberation Army Navy sunk. Well, it apparently sunk.
Wait, isn't that the point?
Well, well, not to the bottom.
Yeah, right, okay, gotcha.
And that is exactly what was reported. However, the only evidence we have are unnamed US officials talking about this. So no one has put their name to it. China has not confirmed it, and we wouldn't expect China to confirm it. But all we have really are some grainy satellite photos showing the aftermath of some cranes around a pier side in China. So I'm not really buying that their brand new nuclear-powered submarine has sunk, or if it is, let's see a little bit more evidence.
So you see those headlines and you assume that there's something legitimate behind them for it to be printed everywhere, but what you're saying is potentially not.
Well, let's show us some more evidence.
They test-fired an intercontinental ballistic missile into the Pacific Ocean. Miles has said that he has asked them, Chalmers as well, over there, has said that he's addressed it at his economic meetings. What do you make of this move?
Well, I think it's more evidence that China is ratcheting up their aggression and their military build-up, if you will, which we have seen a historic military build-up from China over the last 30 years and more aggression than we've ever seen in the past, in particular over the last 5 years. Now, this is an intercontinental ballistic missile that I believe has a range of about 12,000 kilometres, and this occurred the day before the Treasurer of Australia, Jim Chalmers, went to Beijing, yet the Chinese, even though they say that they're a partner and a responsible international actor, didn't tell Australia that they were testing one of these very deadly ICBM missiles which landed in the Pacific Ocean, and yet Jim Chalmers is over in Beijing.
But, Link, why would they? Why would they feel the need, we better tell Australia just to do the right thing in case they get annoyed? We don't, ever. We don't care.
We never
fire at our men. We don't care. Fire at our boats. We don't care. But it's no wonder we're not being treated with respect because we're not demanding respect.
That's exactly right. And, when you have a bully that keeps pushing and you keep standing back, which is what Australia is doing under this leadership of the Albanese government, they're going to keep taking that territory.
I'm going to cross live to Israel in just a moment for an update on the ground, but This frustrates me to no end, but Anthony Albanese has basically spoken publicly directly to Netanyahu. We've heard from Penny Wong, but have a listen to what Albanese has said.
Well, I say to Prime Minister Netanyahu that he needs to listen to the international community, just like the other players in that region need to listen to the international community. The calls are very clear. We are very concerned, and the world is concerned about the escalation that is continuing here and the consequences for it.
War has rules, even when confronting terrorists, even when defending borders, civilians need to be protected. But in conflicts around the world, this is not happening. Nearly a year ago, Hamas killed 1,200 Israelis. In Israel's response, over 40,000 Palestinians have been killed, more than 11,000 children.
Now, all of this is horrific. We all know that. There's nobody who wants this to escalate or wants kids to die. Nobody. But for Albanese to single out Netanyahu by name in a public address, telling him to stop, where's the leader of Hezbollah? Where's the name check for Hamas? Where's the name check for Iran? This blows my mind.
Well, I'd say two things to this, Erin. Prime Minister Albanese calls out Netanyahu by name in a press conference in front of cameras, but didn't have the guts to call Prime Minister Netanyahu himself, who is in New York at the UN right now. So I think that's a little bit gutless. The second point I would make is that Prime Minister Albanese starts talking about the international community, doesn't want you to do this. Well, it's not the international community that is coming to Israel's aid.
Exactly.
It's not the international communities whose children are being killed by terrorists, on a massive scale. It's not the international community that has to suffer constant terrorism and attacks on their civilians every day, and therefore Israel has the right to defend itself.
I was at this event last night, Link, and this lovely lady said to me, the Iron Dome is incredible for Israel. Think of the casualty if it didn't exist. But the PR that they lose by having that Iron Dome and protecting their citizens is enormous. The cost of it is enormous. We're not seeing the images out of Israel that we would with all the bombs going in because they can protect themselves. They're being punished for protecting themselves and then for going after the aggressors.
It's insane. He's trying to simplify a very complex issue and put it into a very convenient soundbite, which I don't think is fair. I don't think it's statesmanlike, and it shouldn't be coming out of the mouths of a so-called partner of Australia and the Prime Minister of Australia.
It's like when President Biden said that Netanyahu wasn't doing enough. His first public response to 6, including 1 American Israeli hostage being shot. And that was his first comment publicly. Netanyahu's not doing enough.
It shows a stunning lack of balance.
Yeah, no, it really does. Link, thank you very much. Really appreciate your time as always.